All right, we are live. SEO. This is the main SEO guy in the Christmas light industry. I know there's
Google Ads.
SEO. Well, there's other SEO guys. That's true, but he is definitely industry specific. If you want ads done, if you want SEO done, and it's Christmas lights, everyone knows who Zeke is. That's been around in the Christmas light industry for a while. So a lot of times when you hire an SEO company, they're going to talk more generalized, like home services, which I know Zeke does outside of Christmas lights also. But he is pretty much the most known guy in the space, so he knows all the nuances and all the main issues that Christmas light installers are facing. Like he's not practicing on your account; he is talking real world data. So this is Zeke. You got anything else you want to add to that?
No, yeah, SEO. We're typically starting with most of those guys in the beginning of the year. We had a few come in this summer. It's been really cool to see the data that of guys that have been with us for a couple of years. Like we have one guy that's already got 50 leads organically off of his SEO. But now we're moving all into Google Ads. Now's the time to start with Google Ads. It's best to start early versus to wait till the last minute when it's November. And so, yeah, we've been switching all our gears to just getting as many Google Ads. I think we've been doing about 2 setups a day right now for new clients coming on board this week. It's literally the busiest time starts. I would probably say by next week, 9:15, everyone goes, "Oh shoot, I need to advertise." So
I
yeah,
mean, I'm getting you have more data than in our industry than probably anyone in the entire industry, and at least in the United States. So for our specific industry, but I am getting clobbered right now with customers wanting new quests or new requests for work. And I really, my website is not SEO'd. Now, I will say Zeke has done SEO for Donovan. A lot of you guys know Donovan. Years ago, I don't think he's hired you to do anything to his SEO.
We did for like 3 years. I think we started in 2023. It's when he moved. Whenever he moved is when we stopped at that time.
Yeah, and he is getting
still get tons of leads.
he's
Tons of
getting
leads.
years later. Donovan no longer pays him for AdWords or SEO because still years later, his website is just like behemoth in North Carolina and just dominates because Zeke originally got him started off in the right direction, ranking his website. So, but Donovan is getting a lot of leads even right now. So, what are you seeing nationally? Like, are people? Is it too early to start running ads right now for AdWords?
So, great question. We have already started over about, I think we're up to like 50 clients that are already live right now. It's the idea behind starting ads in September is simply to get your name out there as you're advertising so Google sees it and trusts the account. If someone starts at the end of October, it's not that it's too late. We just see less volume come in for those newer accounts. And so we've already launched ads in the beginning of September. We just launched some yesterday, and today we launched some as well. But your volume is going to be based upon your population. So, in my experience, typically every million people that are in your service area, you get about 100 leads. Now, I have some guys that are in areas as small as like 500,000, and they still get 100 leads. It just depends on competition, things like that. So, with that said, of those 100 leads, you're probably going to get 80 of them in November. And so the other 20 are going to trickle in between September to the end of October and maybe a few in December. And so you're starting early to simply get that ramp up period. By starting later, you're honestly just giving Google the, hey, I'm the new guy in town. Please run my, please launch my ads. So I highly recommend early, not so much for the leads, but for the algorithms.
Okay, I'm tagging you also in that. Okay, so yeah, so last year my just so you guys know, Mark was my lead installer for like 6 years, and we actually watched I think an interview I did with Zeke last year, and he ended up reaching out to Zeke because he had already told me for months in advance he's going to start his own company in November.
Yep.
So he actually did hire Zeke last year to run his ads for him in Connecticut, which I run my business in Indiana. And so he worked for me till Halloween. And then November 4th, he had a little birthday in between. November 4th, he started hanging lights in Connecticut, brand new company, no existing customers. And he ran through yard signs and hiring Zeke for the AdWords. He ended up doing $120,000 in 30 days, which is just incredible for a new guy. but I know Zeke's ads ended up bringing him some high-end customers because you were using last year AI, which I'm sure you've perfected that even more this year.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years we've been doing that. Yeah.
So what's unique about a lead? You were telling me last year about the leads that because I hired you last year too. But the leads you actually trigger to only display to people that make like higher than $60,000 or $70,000. Is that right?
Yeah. So you really want to do the demographics. You want to get rid of the bottom 50%. People that don't, I mean, Google says it's income. They'll say under 50% and 60, 70, 80, 90, top 10. You want to weed out the bottom 50%. The reality is everyone is in the top 50% anyway. You just want to block it. But when you're doing AI, which is the display performance max, whatever, a lot of people know the name now. We just call it AI for shorter term on there. But if you're doing performance max, that's where it's basically using discovery, display, YouTube, and search. And there's a lot of talk last year on whether or not Performance Max was eating into search, but no one knew because Google had it as a black box. Well, they released that black box in June of this year, and we went back with some data. And I don't know if we went back into the data for Christmas lights last year, but we went back into it for power washing this summer. And it was super obvious to us that Google barely uses search on it. It was done through display and discover feeds. So like Android phones will have discover feeds. I think Apple has it if you open up a Google and you scroll down, and basically it'll display an ad to people that were actually looking for your services. So say someone looked up Christmas light installation, they didn't click your ad, but they knew you were looking for Christmas lights, they'll put an ad in your discover feed for Christmas lights. And so we were using that a lot last year. Here's the problem with it. We add 8,000 negative. It takes over 45 minutes to click every single button to just exclude all of the certain properties that we figured out do not work. And so if you were to do it on your own, it probably would be super expensive. So with Performance Max, you could potentially pay, several $100s for a lead because you didn't have enough negatives in there. And I asked my team, I was like, what's the fastest you can set up? And they said it takes 45 minutes alone just to set it up for just the checkboxes. They're like, that's not even setting up the campaign. And so they're like, there's really not really a fast way to do it. They're like, it's just long and tedious. And so if you get it dialed in just right, it can give you additional amount of leads on top of search. And so last year we're adding 30 to 40% more leads just using Performance Max. So it's a great way.
Those leads that you told me last year, those were actually going to higher income people. So I wasn't.
Oh yeah. So with Performance Max, we actually only target the top 30%. It's not even just bottom 50. We do top 30%. So you're only targeting the top, no unknowns, no 50, 60 or the bottom 50. You're doing just the top 30%.
So in Connecticut, we have probably one of the highest per capita incomes in the US. So what would the top 30% income earners in
Google
Connecticut?
doesn't buy zip code, actually. It's kind of weird. It won't say. So for instance, if you do top 30% in Texas, that's different than top 30% in Connecticut. It's based upon your area.
I'm just wondering what it would be in Connecticut or typical area. That's over six figures, I would imagine.
It probably would be. And that's if it gets it right. Like I can't say it's always right. I'll give an example. We have a dental client where we run Performance Max like that's all we run in their account. And we had some people come in for Medicaid. Well, why are they coming in for Medicaid if we only target the top 30%? Makes no sense, but it is South Carolina. So it's like, okay, Google might not have the right data. So we try our best, we're doing the top 30%, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be effective in every area. It doesn't mean you're going to still have the guys that want you to hang their Govee lights or, their own personal lights.
Well, the thing is, so for our Christmas light group, like we're training people all the time, but you are not your customer. And most people that are paying someone to hang lights, like, people will ask you to hang their lights that make $20 an hour, but they're not going to want to pay. I mean, they're going to be like, dude, this guy's making $50 an hour on it. But they're thinking that when you start the ideal customer, I don't really want to advertise people that make less than $100,000 a year because I know that's more likely they're going to think like that. The kind of people that hire me for their Christmas lights, they don't care what the price is. They just know you're going to do it, get it done. So
exactly. They know and trust you already.
Right. So I don't want to get a lead from someone that is, in a trailer park. Like I want someone that, yes, do they want lights? Would they probably pay someone? They probably can find someone in Craigslist or whatever, if that's even a thing anymore, but Facebook Marketplace or whatever they're doing. But on Google, you're targeting people that are higher income earners that are even going to see the ad. Is that correct?
Yeah. Because people get all confused. And I would love for someone to actually show me where Google says we target where people live. Someone has put out a myth out there that we target where people live, and Google's never said that. And if you think about it, just look at your phone and scroll to the bottom, and it says what your location is. It's based upon your IP address. Where's your IP address? Where you search from. And so if you go, like for instance, Indiana, and you're in Indianapolis, but then you go to work in Noblesville or something, that's where your ad is going to be dependent upon on that IP address. And so occasionally you might get a lead that's 3 hours away, and that's just because someone's IP address was from that 3 hours away location matched for the city of Indianapolis. And so a lot of people get tied up where I only want to target this zip code. I only want to target this, target that. And it's like the reality is like you can't target that way. Instead, you need to go off demographics. And it's just much different.
Which it's harder to target demographics on Facebook than Google allows you to target demographics more.
They do. It's in percentage wise. And that's why I don't feel the need, like, I disagreed with Steve when he said that you target just an exact area. My data shows that only 20% of people actually, their IP address matches their home address. And
well, so I think I've heard over the years that the thing, if they live in a certain area, they probably are not working there. They may be working in a different area, like Indianapolis. A lot of people actually work downtown, but they live in a richer area of town, which is 40 minutes away. So if you're only targeting that zip code where they live, they may not, every time they're doing searches and stuff, like their phone may be registered. Google may consider them living in Indianapolis. Is that or
exactly? It could be triggered to their area that they're working. You could have it back to their home address. It depends if their IP address is updated. But basically, people's phones might be triggered to something different. But the idea is that you just need to have a big enough service area to make it work. And a lot of guys, they have this really small service area. And they're like, why doesn't it work? Now, if it's Facebook, I think Facebook must use GPS. Like, that's my thought process. I think it uses a GPS and it ties it in to maybe some IP addresses as well. But why would Facebook need an IP address if the app has GPS location services on it? And so then Facebook can do it based upon, I was going to say, are there any comments that we need to look? So then if people if you want to target a smaller area, I would recommend Facebook for sure for the smaller area.
Okay, yeah. If anyone's got any questions, like you can actually, if you got time, you can run your own ads. You can run your own SEO. There's guys that do it. In fact, Steve tries to teach you how to run your own SEO. I would say
we ran his SEO for about 3-4 years. So
okay,
we're going off of ours. Yeah, we ran his ads for 3-4 years too. He stopped SEO with us in January, and then he said he was going to do it all in house.
Well, so I will say that Steve called me 4 years ago, and we were on the phone for an hour and a half. He's picking my brain about all these questions, and he's just asking a ton of questions. And my wife at one point was getting a little bit, because people call me, ask me about Christmas lights all the time, and this was a little bit overboard but I was like, no, he's really asking a lot of questions that make sense. Like, he's really getting this. And he ended up being a rock star. He ended up doing like 120,000 his first year out of a hatchback and a fold-up ladder. But
wow.
The issue was, he asked Fred, what are you doing exactly? And I told him, I was like, well, I have lead gen. I got ads going right now. He's like, who do you hire for ads? And I was like, I use Zeke. And he's like, okay, so should I hire him? I was like, well, he's not the cheapest guy. And he's like, I don't care. And I was like, well, I mean, you're out of a hatchback and a fold-up ladder. I just think that you're going to spend a lot of money on marketing. And I was like, it's kind of like cutting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a chainsaw. You can do it, but it's probably not the best method. Like, you need to at least get probably a year under your belt and get your some sort of installs going.
That's our recommendation. And when people come through our form, like, the only time we do take on, we see it happen more often where guys are like, well, I have to do it. Like, for instance, Texas, they don't have yard signs anymore. So you see people that are like, well, I have to do something. And so that's why, they might sign up. But we try not to work with people in year one unless they have like a coach, they have someone that can teach them systems, because you need systems and training all dialed in, and sales all dialed in. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of money and have a low closing rate. And it just happens because you just aren't used to how to sell the emotions of it's Christmas lights. You're not selling the product. And I'll give an example. On my side, I have to sell the $250,000 picture in 5 years. If I bring you $50K in year one, on helping you get 250K in 5 years. That's the big picture I have to show people, because some people are like, oh, it's only 50K in year one. Not everyone sees, the big picture.
Well, so also another guy that I actually paid for all the ads of Ryan Culp. The first, remember you Ryan Culp when he went to Charlotte.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I hired Zeke to run the ads for Ryan Culp, and Ryan Culp was getting very upset because he's like, I got to pay all this back because the deal was I was going to pay to get him started.
Uh,
He was going to reimburse me, but he's like, well, but Fred, I got to pay you back all this stuff, and I think it ended up probably being like $7,500 or whatever for the whole season. But Ryan grew tremendously his first year. Like his first year he did part-time, but I think he did like 60,000 his first year part-time. He had a full-time job, and then he landed a bunch of jobs. And the very next year he quit his job and went full-time into Christmas lights.
wow.
But I don't know if he hired you year 2, but year 1 he definitely, because I remember you going over numbers with me. You're like, man, Charlotte is one of the best markets in the entire US. You haven't seen that much.
It's a good market for the population. So if you take like if I were to say the biggest markets, it'd probably be just by people. So Chicago, you have 6 million people in Chicago. Maryland, you can get 3-4 million people in Maryland. Virginia Beach has 4 million or 3. No, that one's actually 2 million. That one is also another one that surprises me. Virginia Beach, that Hampton Roads area, but Charlotte is up there. But I was looking last year at some data, and I'm like, there's really not that many people in Charlotte. Like, you really have to get into like the suburbs and things like that. But it is a very good market. I just wouldn't say it now that I've done a lot more cities. I would say there's a lot bigger markets than Charlotte. It's probably more because of competition in Charlotte now. But yeah, honestly, I would just go by millions of people, and then I would say the East Coast would get even more leads.
But okay, so I'm in New England, and so this is like 10 years ago. But back then, I was Tanner Maxon. I was buying leads from him, and I was in Indianapolis. So he had the data for the whole country. He had the #1 ranked Christmas light website in the entire country, and it was just a lead gen website. And he would sell leads all over the country. But he said, like, New England is like the dark corner of the country. Like almost no one submits leads. He's getting leads all over the country. But the one place he gets very few is New England, because you have 20% of the U.S. population up in the New England area, but yet very few leads when you have such a densely populated area. But you're seeing a ton of leads come in.
Yeah, Northeast is one of the best areas. I get Long Island, New York. I mean, we've got clients in Connecticut, your employee, doing Connecticut. That does extremely well. Northern New Jersey does extremely well because you don't have to be in the actual like city. You can be in the suburbs. That does extremely well. But yeah, every million people we see 100 leads. If you're working with another agency, divide it in half. I'd say about 50. We see it very common that people spend about 2 times more per lead, and then they just don't get as much volume. It's just conversion rates are much lower.
So, okay, a lot of people I know are trying to figure out how to do it on their own. How could they get their website to rank better locally without hiring SEO? I'm sure in my group we have a bunch of DIY people. What could they do to kind of help that doesn't like take a lot back in, but with stuff they can do?
You're going to have to look at who's above you and see how many words they're writing. So if someone has, like, say your competitor has 800 words, you're going to want to write 1,000 words. If the top guy has, 1,500 words, you're going to want to write 1,700 words on your page. The biggest thing that everyone does wrong in this industry for Christmas lights specifically is they don't put Christmas light installation and their city name on their page. They do, we're Holly and Bright and we're this and that. And that's the #1 thing we see go wrong. And so you want to have like semantics of that term, holiday light installation and holiday light company and Christmas light company. You want to have all those different variations of your words throughout your home page. If your website has permanent lights and outdoor lighting and things like that, that's when it gets actually even trickier. The more you have, the trickier it becomes. But if you have a single website with a single Google business profile for just Christmas lights, getting 1,500 plus words on your homepage with your keyword, Christmas light installation, holiday light installation, all those things, plus the city, because you only want one thing you're going to do. And I would stay away from the biggest city in your area. So if you're in Indianapolis, don't go after Indianapolis. Go after just something near it. The idea is to at least rank for something. You don't want to try to, it's like if you go after something that's like too far away, you're not going to get there. So you want to go after something that's a little bit easier. I actually just did an audit on one of our current clients. I was like, wow, we rank really well for these 3 cities. What's wrong with these 2? I was like, oh, they're 45 minutes away. So you want to be 30 minutes or less, and ideally 15 to 20 minutes. So you really want to keep it pretty close.
So what are you seeing as far as a lot of Google reviews? Like, how much does that affect SEO? How hard should be people be the most important thing, or?
Well, I would say first thing you can control. First thing you can control is your name. Your name has to say something with lighting in it. So, for instance, you can do illumination. You just don't have as great results from it. It takes longer to rank for it. But something holiday lights, something Christmas lights, outdoor lighting, something with the word lighting. We have found though, if you use the word Christmas or holiday in the name, you rank faster. For instance, we have a client that is like his last name plus lighting. And we're like, we haven't really seen him pop up in rankings yet, even though the Google Business Profile came live like 2 weeks ago. And if you said Christmas lighting or outdoor or holiday lights, you would probably pop up a little faster. So you want to have the word lighting in it. That's number one. Is you want your keyword in your URL and in your brand name. If you don't have it, DBA your business and get one in there. The second thing is reviews, and your reviews. It's all about quality of them. And so the first thing you want to have them do is, hey, I had so-and-so, it doesn't have to be the brand name, or we could just say Fred. Be like, Fred and his crew came out and hung my Christmas lights in Greenwood, Indiana, or wherever that is. And saying a keyword such as Christmas lights, saying a city that you did it in, both of those help your rankings. Here's the other catch that I didn't really pick up on until recently.
So this is how to rank you. This is again for this is how to rank your
Google Business
their website to rank better. Actionable stuff they can do right now or when they're out in the field working. So you're like taking a Google card, like where you can tap it on their phone and have them write a review right there and have them write something with the words that you want to rank for.
Yep. You can do it auto text. You could have it like text them out and say, hey, thanks for, booking your services. We hope you enjoy your service. I mean, there are people that charge $100 for these review platforms, which is crazy to me that some of them, like, they get that amount. You can also get some where it's just built into like Go High Level, but you want to have an automated system that texts them like 2 or 3 times. I would kick them out of the system though if they click a link or if there's a way to reach into their API. But you need to ask them for reviews that are like longer than just clicking 5-star. That is one of the top ways to rank your Google Business Profile. And secondly, on that, you need to have them consistently coming in. So if you don't have reviews coming in all year long, then all of a sudden you have them in October, November, or after the season, it doesn't help you. We've actually seen guys rankings improve January through March because of the reviews they got in December. And then it drops again because their Google Business Profile goes dead.
Wow. Okay. So I haven't focused on reviews myself for probably I had 2
Number
years
one
ago.
factor.
Yeah, I need to get some new reviews coming in. 2 years ago, I was paying my employees a gift card if they got their name mentioned in a review. So I had a bunch of motivated college students, and they were getting their name put in a bunch of reviews. Well, one thing I didn't think they were getting like 3 of their names put in the review because I was like,
it doesn't matter though. It's like as long as you put like $5 on it, that's like $15 per review. But like the reality of it is like the payback on it is so much greater. But I have seen, I'll give an example. We have a guy that didn't have any reviews and he got 1 review and I looked on it and Google literally said, people that have more than 5 reviews usually get twice as many calls. And I was like, Google is straight up telling you that you need 5 reviews. Now, what do I think you should personally have? 50 plus, but at least 5 reviews.
So I will say, like, I'm not, this year I'm a little different, but I'm trying to aggressively grow my Christmas light installation company this year. So, but in previous years, I've just been not too interested. I mean, I'm just my repeat customers. So a couple of years ago, I was aggressively trying to get more customers. And so I had a bunch of reviews and like there was no competitor with anywhere close. So I guess that's maybe like 5 years ago, but now, I mean, I had a GMB with like 40 or 50 reviews. I don't somewhere around that, probably less than 50, but I lost it. So I had to start all over. So then I got another 30 on that one, like right away. But probably in 2 years, I haven't tried to get GMB reviews. But this year I need to get a bunch because most of my competitors now got
competitors are past you. Exactly.
And yeah, I need to catch them on rank. But one thing I noticed is that when a customer calls me, they've already went through all my reviews and know everything about my company, how I respond when a customer complains.
Mhm.
And so the reviews, and now you're saying it is the number one thing to affect your ranking of your website. So a bunch of new guys that have
Google
only been
business profile, because you can rank. We have a client, the one that I was just talking about that just has the word lighting in it. We have a client that actually we have two clients that they don't have a Google business that's live because they're like power washing business and they just hadn't gotten around to it. Or we've seen where people just like can't get the verification done. And we actually have them ranking for every single keyword on just search without a Google business profile. So even though that helps your website, we've actually been able to rank people's websites without it. It takes about 2 to 3 months in a smaller area to start seeing those results, like small. I'm not talking big Indianapolis. I'm talking like 300,000 people. We usually see after around 2 to 3 months, you can start ranking, especially with like very little competition. Without a Google business profile, you can still rank at the top.
okay. So what are you have to a big hot button right now is AI building websites. What is your thoughts? Because there's people now that are trying to teach people how to build their whole website completely from AI. What would be the difference? Is it possible, or do you think hiring an agency like you would hands down still be a probably better option for most people?
So here's actually what we're seeing, and I'm gonna go against the grain right here. We've actually seen Squarespace sites rank better than WordPress sites, and I can tell you exactly why. Yep,
Really?
there's way too much code in a WordPress site. Way too much code. Like insane amount of code. Go look at the code on the average site on WordPress and then go look at a Squarespace site and you have to have similar content or text. You could have to 6,000 like characters or like words or however I think they do it by Eastern characters when you're gonna look at it. Look how many characters are on it because you wouldn't know words and you'll see it. It's usually 3 times more than Squarespace. And the reason why I bring that up is because we have about 2 or 3 clients and they don't even budge in rankings and they have over 50 number one keywords that they're our highest keywords, like our highest ranking sites. And we have like 50 some city pages on their sites. You can't do that on a WordPress site because it all looks like repetitive. So we stop at 5 now. So we only do 5 city pages. Back in the day, you would do as many as we could possibly do. And Google never saw it as a duplicate content. They never really saw it as what do they call it? Yeah, I think it was duplicate because Google sees in Google Search Console as duplicate content. And so we've actually found that Squarespace sites just don't have as much fluctuation. Do I recommend getting one? No, because there's just so much more that you can do with WordPress. But we have seen with WordPress sites that we actually have better rankability with the blogs than the main pages. And that's because there's less content on it.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this. Okay, so I don't know if you ever heard of Klaus Larson. They're in Connecticut. They just bought a Home Depot. That's what they're a roofing company. I believe they're nationwide, but they're definitely heavily here in Connecticut. But I noticed this about 3 or 4 years ago that every job they do, they make the salesman as part of their protocol to make a blog, take photos, everything about why they got called out there, the leak that was going on, or how it was an old roof and the insurance to make them get a new one, whatever it was. They write a detailed article about it with plenty of pictures explaining the whole process and the new roof when it's all done. And so it's like a 1,000 word article. They're making each salesman for each roof they do go through this. And I was like, in like 5 years, they're going to rank very well for everything. Well, yeah, they got pretty much everything in the state of Connecticut. Every city they rank number one for. They just literally bought a Home Depot. So you think that's a good protocol even for
No.
like Christmas lights? No.
Okay, so I know a guy that did that, and I'm gonna give an example. And I'm not gonna call out the company that does it because they use AI to do it, and they use a company cam like pictures and things like that, and they then have the company write out a few notes about it, and it makes an AI article. It's all gibberish, like it's literally a bunch of content that's like the problem is it's going after keywords that your main page is. And the biggest mistake I see in SEO is like your homepage going for, like I have a post from 5 hours ago in the contact group talking about your city plus your service. And it's like, if you're going after Dallas Christmas or Christmas lighting in Dallas, and then you have a blog about, hey, we installed Christmas lights in Dallas, you literally went after the same keyword. And then you have another blog that's like a review where it's like, check out this review for this Christmas light installation in Dallas. You literally just cannibalized your keyword from your homepage by making it. We actually had this AI software. It actually ruined our rankings in May. And we were like trying to pick together what these drafts were doing. I was like, oh, it's such and such is AI. And so we asked them to only post on social media and not on the site. And there's no meta titles, which is like the title that goes on Google. It was just letting Google do its own thing. There's no meta description. I don't think the call to actions were there, but it was literally ruining our rankings. So we removed them, de-indexed them, and basically just got rid of those pages, and our rankings went back up. And so I would say that's actually like something you shouldn't do nowadays. And the main reason of this is because it's going after the same keyword as another page. So if you are going to write an article, you might say, here's a project we did, not roof cleaning, not Christmas light installation, like maybe just a generic. But then the question goes, well, what are you trying to rank for? What is the page about? And so when we write blogs, we've actually completely redone our strategy this year. And our strategy is just to go after as many topical clusters as possible without key city names in them. So we're trying to hit the topical cluster of like how to wrap a tree with Christmas lights, how to fluff garland, how to use stake lighting. You're going after all the terms except for Christmas lighting itself.
But so if someone wants to do how to do stake lighting in your city, and they go to your website through it, they're not probably your typical customer you want calling me for an estimate.
It's the topical. It's the topic though. You're warming. That's like their top of funnel. They haven't. You're just telling Google about that topic. You're basically getting traffic into your site. When Google sees traffic to your site, you rank your other pages. So you're just trying to get traffic into the site.
Okay, what do you think about the latest thing just at the Huge? They were talking about a counter cultural, but the guy, I don't know who the speaker was, but everyone talked about, he puts all his pricing all over his website. So he compares his pricing to competitors and lets them know other competitors in his city and what they're charging. And then he gives a breakdown, but he says that way the process is they understand through your website before they call you what your pricing is, exactly what they're getting. He gives different packages. He shows pictures of houses he did and how much it costs. What do you think about stuff like that?
I'm going to use a story for this. I needed my ducts cleaning. My wife's like, hey, can you get the ducts clean? And I called up a company and I said, hey, can I get a quote for my duct cleaning? And he's like, well, here's the way we do it. It's $40 per vent. You can count your vents and that's what your cost is. And I was like, I don't know how many it is. So I guess I'll call you back if I want to do your service. So I hung up. I then counted how many vents I had in my house. I was like, oh, it's 40. It's $30 per vent. That's right. It's $30 per vent. And so I was like, that's $1,200. I was like, that seems a little high, but it's probably because I just have so many vents in my house. So I called up another company. Okay. So this first company, just like whoever this guy is that gave it. And so clearly he hasn't done market research because this is how it works for everyone. If you see a price, you don't have to contact them. If you saw the price, why would you even need to contact them? You move on to the next thing. So I then called another company and the guy was like, oh, I can give you a roundabout cost based on your square footage unless you know the vents. And I said, oh, I actually know the vents. And I said, it's 40. And he goes, oh, okay. That's what I would assume for your house size. And he said, our pricing works at $400 plus $15 per vent. So he had a base price plus 15. And he's like, your total cost should be, it was like $870. And then he went through the whole sales process of like, we do sanitization, we spray it in, we hook up the machine this way, we pull it out with the vents this way, because there are different ways to do duct cleaning. And he talked through his whole sales process. Your friend or the guy that, did that speech, he never talked to that person. He never built rapport.
But he was like at the Huge. I think he was the biggest speaker there this year. His business blowing up from it, but yeah, he just said, stop hiding your pricing. Just be very open and upfront.
So was he open about his profit that his company made?
No, probably not. But he was explaining why.
Make very much. Most big companies don't make very much money. That's why they're invited to speak. I actually saw someone. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to put it out there. Someone said they made $1 million last year. Not last year, but like this actually happened. He said he made $1 million off Christmas lights, and he said all repeat clients, revenue, I should say revenue, all repeats, he makes, I think it was 60% profit, and he makes 5% off year one. He had no money in February, zero cash flow. Do you want to take advice from someone like that with zero cash flow by February? They invite him to speak. He's a speaker. You get invited to speak based on revenue numbers, not based on profit. You got to watch out for these guys. So that's why that main speaker was invited to speak. Has
So,
nothing to do with
okay,
profit.
explain again why you don't think it's the best thing to explain a picture of a house and exactly how you did the pricing and stuff. That's why
Because
from your
they get a quote and then they're going to go off to someone and get an actual custom quote. And so they're going to basically leave your site. I have another example, Stanley Steamer. I was getting carpets cleaned in Minnesota back when I lived in Minnesota. They had their pricing right there. I never hit checkout because I saw it. Well, guess what? His price could have been the exact same amount. It's another reason why I actually teach you should not pre-qualify leads. Because if you pre-qualify a lead, who says that your price is any different than the other guy? Let's give an example. Guys that do $1,000 minimums, $800 minimums, or Donovan has $500, I think, on his site. What is the difference between these guys? Nothing. Their average ticket is still $1,500, $1,700. They're like, oh yeah, but the guy coming in is more pre-qualified. No, it's not. The guy doesn't know what it is. Like my wife said to me, she goes, I don't know what the average ticket is for Christmas lights. How am I supposed to know if you say the minimum ticket's 1,000? So if yours says 1,000 and the next guy says 900, the next guy says 700, the person searching online is literally going to go to the guy that has the lower minimum price and get a quote. All three of you guys have the same price at $1,500. He's just choosing the guy with the lower minimum.
to get them out because then it just becomes like a lot of these. It's just you get in front of the person. I mean, well, you probably know the data better, but there's statistics, but like 20% of people that hire home service based business is the very first person that shows up on the door and gives them an estimate. Is that something like that?
I don't know what the exact number is, but I had a guy last year that he said he had no minimum and he doesn't pre-qualify anyone, and he did thousands more than our guys that pre-qualify and do all of this ahead of time. So what I tell people is like, get their information and then call them back with a quote and then quote everything on the house and then say, hey, I know that this isn't going to be able to fit into your budget. We can remove line items to fit your budget. And by the way, if you do a 3-year contract, you save 20%. And then you lock them into a 3-year contract with that 20% off.
That sounds like something that we were telling everyone to do like years ago. But yeah, that's load it up to the gills and then cut it back down.
Think at them and then back it up a little bit.
So you're saying without pre-qual, the issue with not pre-qualifying, how do you get rid of these guys that think it's $100 or $200? I really don't want to drive and have a service spend 45 minutes on an estimate with someone that thinks it's a $99 service.
Well, you wouldn't go out to the actual house if you're going to go out to their house and you want to pre-qualify it. 100%. Like you could give a range. I think Donovan talks about that, giving a range where it's like, hey, our average client spends between $1,500 and $2,500. Some guys are lower, some guys are higher. Where do you think you might want to be in that? You could ask them that, but I wouldn't put $899 as our minimum or $999. Instead, give them that range.
So okay, you actually probably understand this better than anyone because you see some people have different minimums, and so you're running your ads in different parts of the country. What do you see like if their minimum is $500 and other ones is $1,000? Like
okay, that's a great question. If you don't put a minimum, okay, so like remember guys, this is my numbers. This is not another agency. Multiply by 2. I'm not being joking. Multiply by 2 for all of these for other agencies because that's what we've actually seen. If you don't put a minimum on your landing page, you'll probably get a $30 cost per lead. With us, $60 with someone else or doing on your own. That's very common we see. If you put a minimum of $499, $500, we start seeing that $40 range. And then when you put like $599, it gets up to $50. It's usually somewhere in there. $699, that's when we see that $50 to $60. Once you go past $699 and you go $799, $899, your cost per lead goes up. I'll give an example. Steve put in one of his videos on Instagram last year. He literally copied my landing page, ran the ads with his guy, and he was paying $135 per lead in Scottsdale. He put it on Instagram. It was there for everyone to see. Well, his minimum was probably much higher than ours. Doesn't mean he got more leads off of it. But we were getting leads in the exact same area for $60. And he was paying $135. You even copy our landing page and everything. And so it really comes down to every dollar amount you go up, it's going to go down. So if you start going to 1,000, you could probably pay it jumps. It's going to be a little bit more exponential. You're probably going to pay about $500 a lead if you put 1,000 on there. Like
that is something. It's because my website right now has $800 minimum on it, and it has for years. But I am starting to rethink that. Yeah, you're right. They just go right to another website that has a $500 minimum.
We have a client that has 50 leads right now organically, and the minimum on his landing page is $1,800. And so I checked his leads, and his average client coming in is $2,500 is what they're actually checking on it. But his minimum says $1,800 on the form. But he's in an area that can handle it.
Right, but do you think if he was down to $1,000 minimum that he would get a lot more leads? Because you were just saying that
Yeah.
the amount of
Yeah.
leads that
Someone actually, I was on a call yesterday. He was in Iowa, and we were talking about how Iowa is like, much smaller, much lower income. And basically, what I said to him all the things with each number going up higher. And he goes, "Wow, that makes a ton of sense. I had $1,000 and I got no leads, and I lowered it to 800, and so the leads came in." I was like, "Yeah, 800 is kind of like that breaking point on your site, where it's like, okay, this doesn't seem too bad. You can put 799 if you want to on there." But I wouldn't go over 800 on an actual website. It's just, I don't know. I think you weed out way too many people. If anything, just give ranges. Don't put like minimums. Hope there's Mark getting on here. And so, yeah, I would do 800 for that minimum on there on your website. You can probably go a little lower, maybe on ads, just
is
to
is
put a
is
range.
is Mark his leads already turned on yet, or he doesn't
His
got?
are on. I don't have him. Let me see if I can
I
flip
wonder
over
if
to.
he's got any leads yet or any jobs closed yet through a Zeek lead.
Let's see, 2025 customers. We keep everything in a Google Sheet. And there's leads trickling in, but
So right now, what do you think's better, Facebook for lead gen or AdWords at this time of year? Is it
this time of year, I don't know. I just got off the phone with someone that said he only had 4 leads so far off of Facebook. And I'm like, well, that's higher than maybe someone else in this exact, like in exact area. No, he doesn't have any leads yet.
but
According to
what's the closing rate on an AdWords lead versus a Facebook lead?
So I have always been under the impression it takes 2 times as many, at least 2 times as many Facebook leads as Google. But someone made a point that he was like, I closed more Facebook than Google last year. And I was like, okay, so maybe they were more pre-qualified, or not pre-qualified, like they knew who the person was, that they trusted it more. But I don't know if you could actually give a data on that, because I have like guys that use different people, and I would see trying to think of the word for it. Like you have a higher cost per lead off Facebook. So here's an example: people that do their own Facebook ads, and maybe they get $10, $13 leads. Well, they always might take 5 leads to get 1 job. And then there's guys that pay $50 off Facebook, and those close at 1 out of 3. So it's like you could definitely pre-qualify a little bit higher, but the question is, can you get a hold of them? So I wouldn't put an exact number. What I will say is I do believe that Facebook ads work better when you're targeting areas of about 250,000. Like not so much like the big city, but like you shrink whatever you're targeting and you go after a smaller area. And the reason I believe that is because your budget can be used to hit the same 250,000 people over and over again, versus 2 million people. Your budget spread thin and everyone sees your ad once versus 5 times, or whatever it could be. 1 million people would be 4 times more. So I do think that Facebook works better in smaller cities, or at least with smaller targeting.
So I know you don't offer this, but like if you could put a pixel on the person's site, so if you run an AdWord to it, then again they see it you on Facebook again and again. That would probably be. I don't know why you guys don't offer that.
No, we don't offer. You can put it. Yeah, people can send us a pixel. We have a lot of pixels set up, so your Facebook manager can just send us the pixel, and we'll add it to your landing page.
Really? So then, yeah, if you can get Facebook to retarget anyone that's been through an AdWords ad, that would be incredible. So
Yeah, because they would see the data. Now, it's whether or not they even set it up, because a lot of people don't always hit retargeting on it. Retargeting doesn't always work. There's a reason why they left the site. But no, yeah, if someone sends us, we have several clients, they'll send us the pixel and we'll add it to the ads landing page. If we do SEO, we'll add it to your website. If we don't do your SEO, then just go to your web admin. But if you send us the pixel, we'll add it as many places that we can possibly add it.
okay, so now is there still time? Like if people are like, I always say SEO, it's too late at this point in the year to do SEO. You think you could still get a GMB up and going by October's go time? I mean, we got about 4 weeks before you need.
You would get a Google business profile set up. If it doesn't say the word holiday lighting or Christmas lighting in it, it's probably not even going to rank. If your website doesn't have good content on it, then you're probably not going to rank as well. So what we usually see, here's what most people do wrong. I would say most websites actually cost you over $50,000 in lost business by not doing it right. Like they'll go get a site that has no content on it. They'll get a templated site from like someone that just like gives it away for free. I see that happen a lot. And what ends up happening is your site has the exact same template. And I'm not saying template WordPress sites. I'm saying like where like it's given away like on a website and like you just add your name to it. Maybe it's like AI too, and those don't rank because it's not unique content. And so getting a website that's really good quality content on it, like whether it's Squarespace or WordPress, the content is what really matters. So getting a good site up there, that's what's going to matter in the long term for your SEO.
So if someone was to hire you right now, how long would it take you to get ads going for them?
Ads right now, we're doing it in about 48 hours right now.
Oh,
So
that
someone
quick.
that set up, yeah, Megan had someone from yesterday set up by end of today. And then so we're about 48 hours right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets longer once we get closer into the season because we're getting busy now.
So if someone starts running ads, what's the benefit of running ads now versus waiting till middle of October when you get more of your serious buyers in? Does
Algorithm.
does it bring
Turn
the
the algorithm on. Yeah. It's just to get the algorithm that my ads have been on for this campaign and they've been on longer, they're going to have a better return. We've seen guys in cities that I've always seen 200 leads only get 80 leads because they started at the end of October.
And
Like,
okay,
even though the volume's in November, like they will get half as many leads starting later. Just because the campaign hasn't started.
so will they actually spend more for those leads probably too?
Yeah, yep. Cost per lead. We actually had a guy one time that said, "Hey, I don't want it in my power washing thing. Can you use a different credit card?" I said, "To do that, I need to make a new campaign." So we copied over his campaign into another thing, and it started the algorithm all over again, and his cost per lead doubled. Literally doubled.
So if you're planning on doing AdWords, it's pretty much important to start getting the leads going as soon as possible. Because
As soon as possible. Like we'll set up people in October because you'll still get leads. It's just the volume, like places that I've seen 200 and they only get 100. Like it just starts getting where I guess Google just doesn't trust the campaign. So you definitely want to just start, even if the volume's not there. You just want to start just to start.
Okay, so you're saying a first year person, you probably want to advocate them calling you, and also like if they're in a place of 250,000 people or less within a
That's
30-mile radius.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we recommend 750 or greater. If you're plus or minus 750, I get it. If you're on the East Coast, sometimes a smaller area is okay. But if you're in the Midwest, like you really want 1 million people in your service area. But 750 or greater is what we recommend for Google Ads. 250 or greater for SEO. And 258,000 is within 30 minutes. If it goes a little bit beyond that, I start getting concerned that Google just won't rank us beyond 30 minutes.
Okay, so anyone that's watching this, if you have a business and you're like in the Midwest and you only have 250,000 people or less within a 30-mile radius of you, SEO is probably not your best avenue to grow your business. Is basically what
Right now. Well, SEO is okay in the Midwest. No, I'm saying SEO, Facebook ads is where I would go with 250,000. But
Okay.
for next year, I would recommend in an area of 250,000 that you do at least 6 months of SEO starting at least in April, because that'll end you by October at the very least. I would try to get at least 6 months of SEO in per year in a smaller city. If you're in an area of 750,000 or more, I would do at least like a base package, year round, with 12 months a year. And then if you're in a big city up to 2 million people, I would do it like a higher package, one of our premium packages. And you do year round to keep your rankings higher than your competitors.
But at this stage in the game, it's a little late to do SEO, and you're saying AdWords in a low populated area is probably not the best. So that would be they dive into Facebook and figure it out is probably their best
Yard
source.
signs in Facebook in those smaller areas, and Google Ads 750 or greater. And then East Coast, just depending on where you are on the East Coast, we've seen some people that only have like 600,000. We work with JC Chanelski, and he has only like 500,000 people, and he does really well. But what I can tell you about his area is that people know his name. So if people know your name, you will get more leads. There's 100% a correlation to brand recognition.
Are you still running ads for JC?
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Wow.
wow,
2019. Yeah.
Wow, one of the legends in the space still using Zeek.
Chris Heffernan is one of our longest ones too.
Hey, here's a little known fact. I guess if you go in Chat GPT and ask who is the biggest residential installer for Christmas lights in the entire United States, they will say Chris Heffernan.
What?
That's great. Are you in charge of his SEO?
Yeah, we do SEO.
Okay, so somehow whatever you're doing is getting through to ChatGPT, and you're making him look. He is not the biggest residential
Yeah, I
installer.
wonder how that came out.
ChatGPT seems to think so. So whatever Zeke's doing must be
That's
working
so
pretty
funny.
well.
Yeah, we get
That's
into a lot of AI overviews with our style of SEO.
uh, that is crazy because someone told me that. It's like, did you know Chris Heffernan is the largest residential installer in the country? No, he's not. He's like, that's what ChatGPT says. I was like, I know a bunch of residential installers bigger than him. But
That's so funny.
so whatever you're doing for his website, like
I'm gonna tell my team that. That is so funny.
now I don't know. I'm sure
I'm gonna have
that
to Google. I have to first do it because I gotta get a screenshot. You know what I
yeah, I
mean?
wish I got a screenshot of it, but someone that actually worked for me was pulled up his number and said, did you is this true that he's the largest guy in the country?" I was like, "That I mean, that's the ChatGPT is hallucinating. That is not true."
Let's ask it. I'm gonna ask it right now. ChatGPT. Who is the largest Christmas light installer in the country?
Residentially.
Oh, I have to say the word residentially.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they said residential. So somehow they typed it in that it came up as Chris Heffernan because they called me and asked me, "Is this true?" And I was like, "No, that's not true."
Yeah, it says I can't find one credible.
Okay. And the thing is, ChatGPT changes its answer all the time
Oh
depending on
yeah, for sure.
however you put
Uh,
the question in. But that is another question I have. So so I've seen that Google search has like gained market share ever since it used to be back when I was like out of high school and in college. They talked about how I mean you had Lycos and you had oh man Yahoo and all these different searches, and then Google kind of became the clear winner. And every year since then, it's always gained market share more than searches. And like Yahoo's pretty much went away and all that stuff. But last year was the first year in like 10 years that Google search went down for the first time in like, I think almost 10 years. And they said the reason why is because a lot of people now are going to ChatGPT to do a search or through Grok, but they're using
I
AI to do searches.
Yeah, I would still say that ChatGPT and there's other ones like as far as like, well, we don't know what the traffic is, but I would say it's probably less than 5% still.
But still,
Um,
even now, but AI in the last 6 months all of a sudden is getting very popular. So, what do you think in a year from now? How much more? I mean, just it's the very first year that Google actually lost. It stopped growing in search dominance.
yeah.
And it actually went down for the first year ever in like almost 10 years. But they said it was because people are now using ChatGPT and other AIs to do search. So I expect that to accelerate in the future. So, how important is it for you to be found on a AI search?
It's huge and it's all about being natural. You just need your like real SEO is about being on AI. Like people ask us all the time, like, how do I show up? I'm like, you need more natural sounding content. A lot of you need to answer the questions because ChatGPT is a question. And so it's like, who is the biggest installer in Indianapolis? Like, or whatever it is, who is the best? And so you're answering the question. You're not saying we are the best. You're just saying here are the topics. And so it's interesting. So if you look up Christmas light installation in Spearfish, South Dakota. So there are some. Oh, it doesn't have the overview. But there are some permanent light guys, and there's some people in Rapid City as well. But as far as in Spearfish, there's not really an individual. But one of my friends started last year, and so we just took a landing page that we had, and we're like, hey, let's just put it up there, ranked #1, and showed up in AI overviews. I'm not even trying, and it goes into AI overviews.
Well, so you're
You
doing
know?
are you doing SEO also for JC Chanowski? Because he posted a screenshot of AI when you asked ChatGPT, and yeah, he's definitely the
No,
number.
we did years ago. Years ago, we did, but we don't. And he ranks #1 for Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah, once you rank #1. So I think you told me a couple years ago the problem is they hire you for SEO and you do so good that they don't need you after
Yeah,
year
we've
two in
seen
the
that.
company.
Yeah, yeah, it happens, but it's one of those where we'll just get another person that in that area, and you do it again. A lot of times we see where people start falling off because competitors get more reviews, they get more content. A lot of it comes down to proximity too. Like if you think about like how close is someone to Wilmington versus a competitor in Wilmington, and JC's far from Wilmington, but he still ranks there. But Chicago is an example. Like you could be all over the place in Chicago, like how far away or how close you are. And so that's why you want to target 5 cities that are not the biggest one in the area, just because it's a little easier to rank for it.
Now, I've been hearing more that so what if I'm in a certain city? That's where I'm based out of. So if you're at a house, you can't have your GMB that says that you don't you have to be a service base. You can't actually have a pin.
Yeah, you need service area, and it doesn't matter how many. This is actually a myth. It doesn't matter how many cities you add around it. It's still based upon the proximity to that location, and that's the one I actually audited one of our clients earlier today, and I realized that all his cities were just north of his actual location. And I was like, shoot, we should do like another piece of content, like a blog about something closer to his GMB, because all of his cities are just farther away from it. And the ones that were closer had better rankings.
But what if I have all, like, for me particular, probably 70% of all my customers are within like a couple mile radius of one another in Indianapolis area. So what if all my reviews are in that area? Would that make my website rank better in that area, even though it's 40 minutes from where I'm at?
Well, how would Google know they're in that area? Like, is everyone saying, "Hi, I'm in Noblesville,
But
Indiana"?
so, yeah, if they write a review, though, the Google knows their identity of that person writing a
They
review.
do, they do, and they don't. That's why it's good to not get reviews from your peers, because I've actually seen them fall off. If you get a review from someone that's like too far away, Google does look at that. But I don't think Google ranks based upon the location of the review. I don't think they do that. I would say it's more about the content of the review.
Okay, okay, because there's some people have said I've heard otherwise, so I just didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see the data behind it. Like all I know is the data of the IP addresses where they're searching from, proximity to the Google Business Profile. So like the address you set it up, even if it's your house address, the address of that location is where it's basing your rankings off of it. So you just need lots of content. We've been able to rank people further away. It just takes time. And year one of doing SEO and like trying to rank 30 minutes away from like the most competitive city is just going to take a little bit more time.
Okay, probably the last question, because I know this comes up a ton. A lot of people at this, it's probably actually a little late in the year, but they should still probably think about this. So a lot of people are getting into Christmas lights right now, or it's their second year, and they're asking again and again, how important is it for me to separate my company into a Christmas light company and a landscaping company, or a pressure washing company and a Christmas light company? Like if it's this stage in the game and we start hanging lights in a month, for most people, I start like next week, but and most people probably next month start hanging lights. Do you think if they haven't done it yet, how important is it for them to probably get a separate, like open up either DBA or get a register with the state for a Christmas light company if they are a power washing company right now? As far as the longevity of their company long term, how important is it, do you think, that they separate the two companies so that they're not just adding a new page, or can they just add another page to their power washing and run ads?
You won't convert as well. Your conversion rate will be 50% less. Like I literally had this conversation 1 hour ago with a guy, and I was like, let's use Qdoba as an example. You know the brand, you like the brand, you trust the brand. If they said, hey, we're coming out with steak, you can just order a steak instead of a burrito bowl. Would you trust it? Would you trust the brand? Why would you not? And so by offering steak with your burgers, like it's not the same atmosphere. And so with Christmas light installers, you want to separate them. One, because all your customers for Christmas lights are way different than your power washing brand. You're not really one holistic brand. I know you're saying you're one brand that does everything, but you need to separate it so people go like, this is our sister brand. So that when new people come in, they don't know you're a power washing brand. Honestly, the new guys will not trust it. I have the data that proves that if you tag it with your power washing, you'll get half as many leads. So if you're trying to run ads, I don't know how Facebook guys do it, but I'm like, if you're running with Google and someone sees power washing on there, you will get half as many leads. Your cost per lead will be twice as much, and it's not very effective. And so it's very important to do it. But do you have to do it right now before you run out? No, you can put on the top of your website page, whatever your name is, Christmas lighting at the top of your page. And then when they come in to get a quote, you just say, hey, we're blah, blah, Christmas lights by, Zimmerman contractors. So like you just need to state the correlation of how the two companies work together. But I 100% do believe that you need to do a DBA. I don't think you need to do an EIN and LLC that's separate. Maybe you do, but you need at least a DBA.
So yeah, I personally, I have all my customers get on Jobber, they get Christmas light installers by Zimmerman Construction. I actually own the LLC Christmas light installers. Not a penny ever goes through that entity, but I with the state registered, so that way no one can, because if you do a DBA, someone could actually go and buy that LLC through the state and box you out. So you can actually lose your, if someone owns the LLC with what you're doing a DBA, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. So,
Yeah.
but to get insured, so I have a construction company that is insured, and then I operate under the Softwash Pro by Zimmerman Construction. I offer it for my power washing, and I do Christmas Light Installers by Zimmerman Construction. So it's very easy to get a DBA, and then if you want to take it a step further, you can go up to the state and get an LLC with that on top of it. But you still want to operate everything through your landscaping company or power washing, whatever. Just so you have your insurance and you got your payroll and workman's comp all set up with the state through that way. But as far as from the consumer experience, customer experience, they want to think that you're a Christmas light company all year long. They don't care that you do all this other stuff. In their mind, when they're going online to look up Christmas light installers, they don't want to hear someone that's chucking a truck that does roofing, siding, gutters, and they also hang lights. Like they just want to think you do Christmas lights and that's it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Zeke. You guys can get a hold of him. So we there's all these people that are pitching services in our group that we try to kick people out if we've never worked with them before. But both me and Donovan have used Zeke, and many people in the industry. I don't know if anyone's used Zeke, anyone more in the Christmas light industry than Zeke. So he is the go-to guy for most people. I will say he may not like this, but he is not the cheapest. But
actually, I disagree. I'm the lowest person in this industry. Because someone came to me last year and they gave me all their data and they were paying $160 per lead. So meaning I saved them $10,000 by them switching to us. So total cost per acquisition, I have yet to find someone lower than us.
Okay, so that's the other thing. So you're not just he's going to get you qualified
cheaper leads and more leads, and that's what makes us cost effective. But yeah, I've actually in any industry I've ever worked, roofing industry, patios, decks, every single person has told me total acquisition cost, I've always been less than their last guy. So we actually are. So maybe I should raise my rates.
Yes. Yeah. So he is, the other people will try to give you a little bit cheaper deal, but in the end, you may not be as happy. So there's almost no one that's worked with Zeke that hasn't gotten results. So I will say Mark last year did get better results than me. I went after the poor half of the state, and
the poor
he went after the rich half of the state. And so I will say sometimes your market, it doesn't matter how good your ads are or whatever, your market does have a little bit of effect on that too.
It does. Like if it's not effective, if you don't think it's effective, it usually has to do with the people in your area, your sales ability, or maybe your average ticket. It could be one of those factors. The number one thing that we do see, and I will point this out, is guys that aren't used to selling premium products have a harder time selling Christmas lights. So you can decide if your industry, not pressure washing, but there are industries other than pressure washing, because pressure washing is a premium product. You don't have to have it and people pay for it. But think of things like landscaping. Everyone just needs it. Or think of pest control. These are, things that are on lower tickets. It's much harder for a business owner to sell Christmas lights from those industries at a premium ticket.
So, and just in case you didn't know, Christmas light contractors, we don't get nothing for interviewing Zeke. We don't have any back end deals going on, but we just try to make sure our installers are the very best in the country. So I know Zeke works with other people, so he would have a tough time saying we're the best, but we want to give every tool to our network of installers to help them grow their business. Because the only way a Christmas light contractors grows is if our installers are growing. We don't pressure you to buy lights. If you don't have the money, don't buy them, but you should have enough leads coming in that you're getting enough sales where it's like a no-brainer that, hey, you've helped grow our business. So that you guys a lot of times are very loyal to us and end up buying lights from us. So thank you guys. And Zeke, we do not recommend anyone lightly. Like anyone, we know that they'll do a good job and you're not going to lose your money. So, but anyways, all right. Well, that is Zeke, and I'm sure you guys can. He puts out a lot of content about running SEO and stuff.
A lot of content on our Facebook page.
And if you got a lot of time, you could probably try to do your own SEO yourself. But if you start to scale and you have employees, I used to do my own SEO. I really did. And I ranked pretty well. But at some point, like your business grows too much that you really can't. It's changing all the time. It literally is changing all the time.
August 26th was the last update, and it was a spam update. And we're still trying to figure out what exactly they were looking for with the spam update. But you got to be paying attention to it. There's a lot of spam out there right now.
Well, and so if it's your own site and it gets hammered, like, wow, all your phone calls just dry up. But he's got hundreds of other clients. So he's getting data from hundreds of sites versus if it's just you and yourself trying to figure it out, you're always gonna be behind. Because by
Yeah.
the time he's talking about telling you what he figured out, like they've already been knowing this for weeks or months or whatever. So
Cool. Well, thanks, Fred, for having